The Coffin of Andy and LeyLey is a game about getting dangerously close with your brother. The Coffin of Andy and LeyLey is a controversial psychological horror game exploring how two siblings trapped in codependence end up in a downward spiral. As the game progresses, the origins of that codependency are gradually revealed. But first, it's important to understand how dynamics like this form to begin with. Everyone has different emotional needs. Some people remain grounded in solitude, while others depend more strongly on connection. Neither is inherently wrong, but those traits are shaped by the environments they exist in. For children in unstable or dysfunctional environments, emotional support is often inconsistent or unclear. When that happens, developing minds are forced to adapt early. Coping mechanisms form through necessity rather than guidance, shaping how safety and attachment are understood later in life. Over time, that uncertainty begins to blur boundaries. Relationships that should be simple start providing stability and protection. A sibling, an older brother for example, can shift from being family into something the child feels they can't live without. Survival turns into reliance, and reliance hardens into dependence, especially when siblings become the only source of care. In these dynamics, dependence rarely remains simple. When one sibling becomes the caretaker, responsibility turns into obligation, and obligation creates leverage. The younger sibling's persistence isn't control in the traditional sense. It's pressure, built on the understanding that the caretaker won't walk away. As the imbalance worsens, manipulation becomes deliberate. The dependent sibling learns that refusal can be treated as proof of abandonment, using that accusation to justify increasingly extreme demands and override the caretaker's resistance. This manipulation reshapes the caretaker as well. Even when they seek independence, they feel compelled to remain available. External expectations fade into internal rules, reinforcing the belief that keeping the dependent sibling safe is their most important responsibility. What emerges from this is our codependent dynamic. The younger sibling relies on the older for stability, while the older is held in place by fear of abandonment or failure. This is the psychological foundation of the Coffin of Andy and LeyLey. From the very beginning, attachment, imbalance, and pressure define the relationship long before the worst actions occur. With that context established, we can move into Chapter 1 and see this relationship as we encounter it for the first time, already shaped by patterns that have been in place since childhood. We begin with a short sequence of Andy and LeyLey. Andy refuses to do something for LeyLey, and she ignores the refusal, asking again. What she's asking for isn't clear yet. Even here, we see an early pattern. Resistance isn't treated as an answer, but as an obstacle. We then cut to Ashley, LeyLey, waking up alone in their apartment. The game briefly breaks the fourth wall before instructing the player to find food. This fourth wall breaking is a reoccurring feature that offers a third-party glimpse into the character's thoughts during certain actions or events. The apartment is messy and unkempt. Trash bags piled up, dirt on the floor. As you explore, the game keeps hammering home how bad things are, joking about drinking detergent and eating inedible items. It's darkly funny, but it also makes clear just how desperate the situation is, and how twisted Ashley's humor has become. Searching the freezer and cabinets turns up nothing. Ashley eventually checks a pile of trash and finds a single can of tomatoes. In context, this tiny discovery underscores how close to the edge the siblings already are. Ashley brings the can to Andrew, and they argue. Andrew admits he hid it to ration what little food they had left. This moment, while small, is important. It establishes Andrew as the one thinking ahead, managing scarcity, and taking responsibility, while Ashley reacts emotionally to deprivation. She doesn't care that it's the last thing they have to eat. As long as it's food, she's willing to eat it, while Andrew is trying to hold on for their sake, waiting for when he believes they'll truly need it. And, as explained earlier, Ashley uses pressure to get what she wants. Andrew eventually gives in under that continued pressure and agrees to eat it. When Ashley returns to the kitchen, there's a pounding at the door. A warden asks if anyone is alive inside, then jokes that he doesn't bring food for the dead. Ashley hesitates before responding, and when she does, it's with bitterness, pointing out that he doesn't bring food for the living either. The man laughs it off, mentions a delivery mistake, and leaves. Even when help appears, it's careless and unreliable. Later, while the siblings eat, strange music plays from the neighboring apartment. Andrew's reaction suggests this isn't the first time. They decide to investigate using a wooden plank from a broken bookshelf and cross the balconies. Inside, they find their neighbor performing a ritual. Pentagrams on the floor, candles lit, but nothing happens. Shaken, they return home. The event doesn't change anything yet, but it reinforces how unsafe and unstable their environment already is, when a demonic ritual performed to escape the lockdown barely registers as more than an oddity. Back in the apartment, they decide to watch TV, but the remote is dead. Ashley complains about Andrew making her do everything, only to turn the TV on without the remote anyway, insisting it's to save the batteries. It's a small moment, but it shows how control and justification already coexist in their interactions. The news reports a tainted water crisis that's been ongoing for 3 months. The apartments, including theirs, are quarantined and will remain so for at least 2 more weeks. The segment thanks the residents in a dismissive, almost annoyed tone, offering no real sympathy. Once again, the authority acknowledges the problem but fails to meaningfully address it. Siblings go to bed. We then see Ashley, in a flashback, approach her mother, Renee, as she's about to leave. Renee explains that she and Ashley's father will be staying at a hotel, defensively insisting that she never drank any contaminated water. Her tone is dismissive, and she leaves the siblings behind. Later, a nurse arrives to draw their blood. In another flashback, Ashley is on the phone with Renee, begging for help and saying they're starving. Renee brushes her off and eventually tells her to stop calling. She won't answer anymore. Any remaining expectation of parental support is completely cut off. The next sequence finds Ashley waking again and beginning to clean the apartment, even as Andrew warns her not to overexert herself. She eventually collapses from starvation. Later, she awakens on the couch to find Andrew watching the news, which claims that the food problem for quarantined residents has been resolved. As we already know, and is confirmed later, this is not true. The broadcast even threatens consequences for anyone interfering with apartment food supplies. Ashley passes out once more. In the following scene, Ashley wakes to hear Andrew on the phone with someone. At first, it's unclear who he's speaking to, though we hear Ashley's name mentioned. Andrew apologizes weakly before the other person hangs up. Ashley then learns it was Andrew's now ex-girlfriend. She mocks him over the breakup, prompting Andrew to retreat to the balcony. Whatever the exact cause, the moment reinforces how fragile Andrew's outside relationships already are. Ashley returns to sleep. Ashley later wakes and steps outside to check on her brother. An ambulance is taking someone away, and Ashley notes that the person doesn't appear to be moving despite the sirens. Andrew calmly notes that he called for help when Ashley fainted, but no one responded, something Ashley openly doubts. She suggests that the person might have been in labor, and jokes about getting pregnant by their neighbor. This understandably angers Andrew, who heads back inside, while Ashley remarks that she's simply exploring her options. The episode then shifts to Ashley passing out yet again, as one does being starved. She wakes in her parents' old bedroom and hears Andrew banging on the front door. A warden threatens that they won't receive the upcoming food delivery if Andrew keeps making noise, then leaves. Despite the warning, the delivery never arrives. As Andrew and Ashley lie on the floor together, they discuss the parasites in their bodies and the nurse who drew their blood but never returned. Ashley says she likes it in the apartment, while Andrew expresses a desire to jump off the balcony. Ashley responds that she would join him, and he remarks that it would be too romantic. This moment highlights a reoccurring contrast between them. Ashley responds literally and in the moment, while Andrew speaks more abstractly, almost philosophically. When Andrew talks about ending it, he isn't laying out a plan so much as drifting into thought or dark humor. Ashley doesn't take it that way. She treats the statement as a real option, and her response immediately places her alongside him. That difference matters. What Andrew frames loosely, Ashley processes concretely. They both talk about ending up sealed together, buried in the same coffin, trapped in the same crypt, but they're not imagining it the same way. For Andrew, it's something that would happen. For Ashley, it's something she already accepts, where separation no longer enters the picture. The exchange reflects the same pattern established earlier. Moments of distress aren't allowed to stand on their own. They're quickly absorbed back into togetherness. Even here, it reinforces how Ashley's sense of outcome remains tied to Andrew. Any ending she acknowledges is one where they're never apart. As the conversation continues, the richer music from the neighbor's apartment begins playing again. This time, however, a loud growling noise cuts through. They go to investigate, and when they reach the window, they see what appears to be a dark mass floating before the neighbor. The being asks him for an offering, and when the man fails to provide one, it seemingly kills him. This moment marks the beginning of the story's ascent, where Andrew and Ashley move from being victims of circumstance to active participants, less defined by what happens to them, and more by the choices that follow. Ashley suggests they at least shut off the CD player. Andrew chastises her for worrying about something so trivial, but she responds that they may die soon anyway, and she doesn't want to listen to that music when she does, which is pretty understandable. They decide to break into the neighbor's apartment to look for food and turn the music off. Subtly, Andrew grows nervous here. After breaking in and turning off the music, they search the apartment but find no food, reinforcing the idea that everyone in the building is just as desperate as they are. They do find some money, and the game presents a choice: split it or keep it. This is the first indication that player decisions will matter later on, though here it mostly plays as a gag. If you keep it, Andrew marks it, he'll just steal it back later anyway.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
While checking the man's body, Ashley thinks to herself that there's a lot of meat on him. Andrew hears this and questions her, eventually asking whether it would be illegal, since they didn't actually kill him. Ashley, briefly confused, teases him about eating the man. Andrew denies the idea, saying they'd never be able to get away with it. This is a telling sign of their thoughts at this point, as they don't question the morality of what they're going to do, more so the legality. Ashley seizes on his hesitation as justification. She argues that they didn't kill him, they have nothing else to eat, and the law should look past it. Andrew pushes back, asking whether the staff would admit to neglecting food, or how they'd explain the man's supernatural death. Ashley dismisses this, telling him he's overthinking it, and demands an answer. After resisting, Andrew reluctantly agrees. Ashley, now almost ecstatic, makes a lighthearted comment about finding something to butcher him with, much to Andrew's disgust. Even here, survival and manipulation are inseparable. You can't tell where one ends and the other begins. After Ashley finishes her portion of the work, she casually suggests carrying the pieces back to their apartment. Andrew tells her to find some bags, and Ashley, despite knowing better, calls him Andy, to his visible disappointment. When she returns, Andrew finishes cleaning while Ashley begins cooking their stolen food. An unsettling tune plays, emphasizing the grim reality of what they're doing. During dinner, Andrew hesitantly takes a bite before gagging and nearly throwing up. Ashley places a hand over his mouth, forcing him to swallow. She tells him he has to finish before he can leave, while she seems disturbingly content to be finally eating. Throughout the meal, she continues teasing him. When it's over, she goes to bed, fully satisfied with her choices. After this, the game transitions into what appears to be a childhood flashback, with the siblings referred to as Andy and LeyLey. LeyLey tells Andy about a girl who has shown interest in him. She's visibly upset by the idea, but becomes relieved, almost giddy, when Andy dismisses it outright. Andy, however, is openly hostile toward LeyLey herself, coldly stating that she doesn't even count as a person in his eyes. LeyLey ignores his comment and escalates quickly, suggesting they trap the girl in a crate at an old warehouse. This reframes the interaction seen at the beginning of the game, adding context. Andy resists at first, but LeyLey immediately invokes her mother's authority, saying, "Mom said you'd help me with anything." She treats this situation as trivial, framing it as a simple dispute. She insists that she and the girl can be friends after the girl learns her lesson for taking a man from another woman. When Andy remains hesitant, LeyLey notices his discomfort and sharply orders him to do it. This is one of the earliest clear signs of Ashley's manipulation. She weaponizes her mother's words to pressure Andrew into doing something blatantly dangerous and borderline illegal. Beneath this is a deeply twisted attachment. LeyLey believes Andy should exist solely for her, and any girl who gets close to him is reduced to an obstacle that needs to be dealt with. She even refers to the situation as an adventure, emotionally distancing herself from the consequences. We then see LeyLey, Andy, and the unnamed girl together at the warehouse. The girl is visibly uncomfortable around LeyLey, and the atmosphere is tense despite Andy's claim that they're friends. As they approach the building, LeyLey briefly considers forcing the girl to climb through a dangerous window to hurt herself, showing us how little regard LeyLey has for what they are about to do. Once inside, after sustained pressure from LeyLey, they decide to play hide and seek. When Andy becomes it, LeyLey leads the girl to a crate, tells her to climb inside, and sits on the lid, trapping her. Andy approaches, hesitates, and is clearly conflicted. LeyLey breaks down, claiming everyone prefers the girl over her and that Andy only spends time with her because their mother told him to. Andy doesn't deny this, implicitly confirming that LeyLey has no real friends. She spirals further, calling herself loud, annoying, and fundamentally unlikable. Trying to calm her, Andy tells her he likes her more, but LeyLey immediately challenges him, calling him a liar and demanding proof. After more emotional pressure, Andy finally gives in and seals the crate shut. This is where the pattern becomes visible. Refusal is treated as rejection, and guilt is used to force compliance. They leave the girl trapped in the crate, promising to return in the morning. As she cries out for help, LeyLey's demeanor flips instantly, from hysterical distress to visible elation. The shift is jarring. The suffering she's caused doesn't register as harm at all. It registers as resolution. This is manipulation at its most distilled. LeyLey pressures Andy relentlessly, accusing him of lying, framing his hesitation as proof that he only stays with her out of obligation. The implication is clear. If he refuses, he is abandoning her. Faced with that framing, Andy doesn't make a reasoned choice. He escalates. He does something extreme and irrational, not because he believes it's right, but because it's the only way to make the emotional pressure stop. The moment he complies, LeyLey's distress vanishes. She gets what she wants, and the crisis ends, not because the situation is resolved, but because control has been reasserted. The girl in the crate ceases to matter. What matters is that Andy chose her. Back in the present, Andrew wakes Ashley up in a panic, having a breakdown over what they've done. Ashley brushes him off, telling him he can starve. She justifies her calmness by insisting she didn't kill the man and that they had no other option. She reminds him that they both agreed to it, even though she claims it was his suggestion first. And while that's technically partly true, it's also Ashley doing what she always does, taking Andrew's words and using them to lock him into complicity. She circles back to the same excuse. This should be fine because the water company is the reason they're trapped and these are extreme circumstances. Andrew lies against the bed and Ashley attempts to comfort him. He admits he struggled stashing the body, describing how difficult it was. It's clearly eating at him, deep enough that he can't sleep. Ashley invites him into bed. When he asks why she seems so unbothered, she says she compartmentalizes, then immediately undercuts it with the joke saying they had to compartmentalize the man too. Andrew goes quiet. Ashley repeats his name and calls him Andy again. He snaps, reminding her he had told her to stop. She teases him anyway. They bicker, and Ashley asks if it reminds him of their childhood adventures. Andrew finds the comparison unsettling. Ashley shrugs it off, telling him he can get therapy later, because she won't be unpacking any of it at all. Andrew tries to pull them back to reality. He says they need to focus on getting out of the apartment, because it won't be long before someone figures out what they did. Ashley continues teasing him until they finally go to bed. And yes, nothing happens between them. Get your mind out of the gutter. When Ashley wakes up, she feels noticeably better. She heads to the neighbor's apartment, guided by a note Andy left behind. It's a small detail, but it reads like appeasement. Andrew slipping into the version of himself that gives Ashley what she wants. Once she's there, the two decide to attempt the ritual themselves, hoping the entity might offer a way out. While they're setting up, the warden knocks. The siblings stay silent, and after getting no response, the warden calls someone to come check the apartment. Then, oddly remarks that he was just a type B anyway. Andrew freaks out, and Ashley tells him to go stall the warden back at their apartment while she cleans up the neighbor's place. When she finishes, the warden starts heading back, and Ashley has to hide. If you fail, the warden catches you and everything is exposed.
Die, you motherfucker!
Until the game, in its fourth wall style, lets you try again. Ashley hides in a cabinet. The warden enters, and after looking around, opens the cabinet, and the second he sees her, Andrew appears and stabs him. After Andrew kills the warden, the caretaker role collapses completely. He isn't just reacting to danger anymore, he's enforcing the dynamic himself. Up to this point, Andrew's behavior has been shaped by pressure. The girl in the crate represents coercion, a situation where he's pushed, manipulated, and cornered into acting. But this is different. Here, Andrew kills a man almost immediately with no visible hesitation. Whatever thoughts or doubts might surface, he suppresses them without reflection. The act isn't framed as a moral crisis, it's a task completed. Ashley's reaction only reinforces this shift. She responds with casual embarrassment rather than fear or shock, teasing Andrew about what he's done. Andrew, by contrast, is visibly tense and irritated. When she continues, he shuts it down. He's not in the mood. The emotional distance is striking. Ashley treats the killing as an inconvenience, while Andrew refuses to process it at all. When he pulls her up and says, "Come on, LeyLey, let's play," the language matters. He's reasserting control, reframing the moment as something familiar and contained. On the body, they find the key to room 405. Progress, a reward for violence, further normalizing what just occurred. From this point on, keeping Ashley close matters more than keeping her safe. Then comes the most telling moment. As they try to leave, Andrew abruptly slams the door shut on Ashley, trapping her inside. He tells her their chance of escape is gone now because she got caught. The blame is immediate and instinctive. The protector becomes the enforcer, redirecting responsibility and control back onto her. This is the point where the dynamic stops being imposed from the outside. Andrew has fully internalized it. He doesn't just protect Ashley anymore, he maintains the system that binds them together, even if it means turning on her to preserve it. Ashley deflects immediately, pointing out that he killed the warden. She says she's grateful for it, ignoring the fact that a man is dead, and asks what Andrew's point even is. Andrew's point isn't guilt, it's control. He tells her they can't tell anyone about any of this. Then, strangely, he adds that she was probably planning to go find their parents. Ashley admits she didn't even have a plan, which somehow makes the situation worse. It means there are no limits. She says she doesn't care about cutting off anyone they know. Andrew responds that the authorities aren't the ones she should be worried about, because he won't go to jail just because she refuses accountability. Ashley says she isn't scared of him. Andrew threatens her, saying, "Don't give me a reason to be." She shoves him back, and he immediately softens, saying he's stressed. Ashley says she's not in a rush to tell anybody, and asks to leave. She adds that she doesn't care about their parents or her friends. None of them came to help anyway. Then she says it's fine, because she has Andy with her, and that matters. It suggests that Andy, the version of Andrew that's easier for Ashley to shape, is starting to surface again. Out in the hallway, they find notes on several doors. 2XAB, 2XA, 1XB, and 1XO, with the O crossed out. They dismiss it for now. They enter the guard office and find a key to the 4th floor staircase, along with another key for an apartment on the 3rd floor. There's also paperwork about organ sales. Another note states that AB blood types won't be given supplies, except for important persons. Again, they ignore this. Downstairs, there are more notes on doors, and eventually they enter room 302, the apartment tied to the other key. Inside, a woman is living comfortably with a stocked fridge and playing video games. The siblings ask her if she wants to leave. She says no, she gets whatever she wants here. They're confused. Ashley jokes that the woman must be doing favors for special treatment, and the woman tells them to get out. Back in the hall, Ashley demands to know why they got bad treatment, why she didn't get food. Andrew replies that maybe she wasn't pretty enough. Ashley becomes oddly fixated on this, asking if he thinks that woman was pretty. He says yes. Ashley dismisses it, but clearly annoyed. This isn't jealousy in a romantic sense, but an external comparison that threatens Ashley's sense of exclusivity and emotional security. Another woman being evaluated, noticed, or validated by Andrew at all is destabilizing to her. They realize leaving the woman alive might be a problem. She's seen them now, but decide to finish the ritual first. Before they go, Ashley asks again if Andrew really thinks she isn't pretty enough. Andrew tries to reassure her, saying they probably wouldn't want him around the house anyway if they did something with her, then adds that he wouldn't let them, revealing a more defensive, possessive side of himself. We see here that Ashley remains deeply concerned with who Andrew is allowed to acknowledge or connect with. As with the unnamed girl who liked him earlier, the issue isn't attraction, it's the fear of displacement, and we see later just how deeply this moment lingers with her. As they prepare the ritual, they plan to use the first guard's radio to lure the second warden into the ritual room and sacrifice him. They return to the woman's apartment and hold her hostage while she makes the call, inviting the other warden over to have a fun time. Ashley reluctantly agrees to leave Andrew with the woman while she finishes setting up the ritual and handles the sacrifice. As Ashley lights the candles and turns on the music, the entity appears, more clearly a demon now, and asks what she offers. Then the warden walks in. Ashley offers him immediately, and the demon kills him. The demon calls Ashley a tar-colored soul and gives her a trinket, claiming it can grant her a clairvoyant dream of what lies ahead. Ashley questions whether it's real, but still loots the warden's gun and key before heading back to Andrew. When she returns, the woman is dead. Andrew claims she tried to shoot him with a nearby nail gun after he released her. Ashley immediately twists it, accusing Andrew of letting her go because she was pretty, implying he had other intentions. Andrew denies it, pointing out she's dead, but Ashley refuses to believe him. She insists he doesn't understand women, and that whenever he gets interested in one, the whole world disappears. An outburst that reads as jealousy, not logic. Andrew grows increasingly annoyed, especially when Ashley says his priority should be her. He snaps and tells her to shut up to stay out of his love life. Ashley challenges him, and Andrew states the reason his girlfriend dumped him. Ashley had been harassing her. She openly admits this, claiming he's better off. She calls the girlfriend a quitter and says she wouldn't have had to interfere if Andrew paid more attention to her. Andrew fires back that Ashley always needs something, especially whenever he's about to meet someone. Then Ashley twists this, saying he'd love it if she went and offed herself. Andrew is confused and furious by this. Ashley treats his reaction like confirmation, like she's uncovered a truth. Andrew says he's basically back at her beck and call, just like when they were kids. Ashley explodes, insisting he can't make her the villain. She claims she never made him do anything. He always said, "I don't want to." Andrew tells her she never listens to him, and before he can continue, she proves his point by cutting him off again. He asks why he doesn't want to spend time with her anymore. Andrew says they've been trapped together for 3 months. Ashley responds, "Then why aren't we friends anymore?" Andrew starts by replying that they are still friends, then drops it and asks her if they can just go, to which she presses him to finish what he was saying. "What's so bad about me?" she asks, blocking the door as he attempts to leave, insisting none of this is her fault. Not the quarantine, not killing the wardens, nor killing the cultist. Andrew deflects, saying she made him do it for her. Ashley repeats the same defense. She didn't make him do anything. He chopped the man up himself. What happened with the woman was his choice. And she sarcastically calls him Andy and drags him back to the memory of the crate, reminding him he chose to lock that girl inside. She ignores the pressure she put on him at the time and reframes it as proof that he chose her. She shoves him into the wall, and Andrew snaps, grabbing her by the throat, saying they won't be leaving together. Ashley says he won't do it, insisting she's the only one he can talk to, the only one who can make the pain go away. Andrew says she's the reason he can't sleep in the first place. Ashley pivots instantly, saying she'd like to go with Andy now, pushing the split even deeper. Andrew says he wants to leave, but she'll throw a fit again, and Ashley doesn't even deny it. Andrew threatens to end her right there. Ashley doesn't offer a reason not to, only repeats that she wants to leave, that she wants it to be just the two of them. Andrew lets her go. Ashley hugs him and casually admits she didn't care about the unnamed girl. and that she's glad she's gone. Andrew replies simply, "I know." Ashley asks why it matters if no one knows it was them. Andrew ignores this, asking if she'll behave if it's just the two of them. Ashley dodges it, saying she'll behave if he behaves. This moment is the clearest payoff to the introduction. Andy isn't just a nickname, he's a role. Andy represents the version of Andrew shaped entirely by obligation, compliance, endurance, and quiet self-erasure in service of Ashley's needs. Ashley tries to frame this situation as another adventure, treating what's happening like just another shared trial they'll endure together, but Andrew shuts that down completely. For the first time, he rejects the framing outright. He doesn't want to be Andy anymore. When he calls Andy spineless, he isn't talking about someone else. He's condemning the version of himself that existed only to help Ashley survive. And when he says he hates LeyLey, it's not a sudden turn toward cruelty, but a break in conditioning. The resentment that's been suppressed under duty finally surfaces. This is the clearest example of why the two names matter. Andy is obligation, the part of him that exists to serve, protect, and endure. Andrew is control, the part of him that wants autonomy, boundaries, and power over his own life. The confrontation isn't just between siblings, it's Andrew turning on the identity that trapped him there in the first place. He tells Ashley that LeyLey should stay and die with Andy. They end up hugging and begin working on an escape. They find an open second-floor window, make an improvised rope, and climb out. Their plan is simple: skip town, get food, and try to live, despite what they've done. Ashley remarks that everything has gone to crap, so why shouldn't she laugh? It highlights how she differs from Andrew. She adapts through detachment, while he spirals through responsibility and panic. On the bus, Ashley tells him about the trinket, saying he's stuck with her now. Andrew says nothing has changed, which upsets her, until he hugs her and jokes about it, easing her back into a sense of comfort. The episode ends as the bus drives away. The story ends here for now, leaving us to wonder what the Graves siblings will do next. Andrew is slowly slipping back into being his sister's instrument, while Ashley grows more manipulative, now even wielding something supernatural to keep him close. From the outside, people will dismiss this as a fetish game, something sick and depraved. And it is sick and depraved, but not because it's trying to be funny or appeal to a fetish. It's disturbing because it reflects some of the worst realities of our world. Children abandoned by those meant to protect them, forced to cling to the nearest source of care, even when that attachment becomes harmful. In this case, Andrew becomes that source for Ashley. We see this even when Andrew becomes physically abusive, going as far as choking her. Ashley still clings to him because he's the only person she's ever known to show her any form of care. That attachment isn't attraction, it's survival. To Ashley, love and harm aren't opposites, they've always come from the same place. At no point does this story ask you to root for them. It asks you to watch what happens when care turns into control, when boundaries erode under pressure, and when being needed becomes more important than being healthy. By the time the worst actions occur, the damage has already been done. Not by a single choice, but by years of neglect narrowing their world down to each other. Nothing they do is excusable, but none of it exists solely for shock value. It shows how desperation, neglect, and isolation can twist people into something unrecognizable, especially when survival replaces choice and attachment becomes the only thing keeping someone going. I know this video is unusual, and I'm not claiming to be an expert on any of this. This is just a simple telling and analysis of how I view the story, and I may have gotten some bits wrong or misinterpreted it. So if you disagree, please let me know what you think, but let's keep it civil. One thing that stood out to me is how often this game is dismissed simply because people don't understand how situations like this form. Without experiencing neglect, instability, or emotional abandonment, it's easy to write off as nonsense or provocation. For some people, including myself, rough childhoods make these dynamics uncomfortably familiar, not because they're normal, but because they're recognizable. Acknowledging that doesn't justify what happens, it explains how it becomes possible. Some people in the fandom romanticize this. While I personally disagree, I also think that, for some, it may be a way of coping with their own experiences. That perspective wasn't something I had considered before engaging with this game. There are more themes I want to explore and talk about, but for now I wanted to establish the foundation. Later chapters give us more background and context, allowing these early moments to make more sense in hindsight. Episode 2 and 3 of the game are already out, and I'll start working on that soon. I'm just taking a short break because this is a fucking long video, and that sucks. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and have a great day. Mossy out.